channel ni na kunze ba go Allah tani. So what is supposed to be number one, Gabila lazim yetulu. Sisi asin tanin ita bisil Gabila bitak ya bukun sila number 1 dabar balana. Al number 2 يعني يكون الجيش كفايه كده للنفس ما يكون جيش بتاع شعب وده اجار لنا ما دايرين جيش يكون جيش بتاع شعب دايرين قبيله ده يكون ما في والبكل القبيله ده شنو ده لو حكومه تقال يكون عنده شركات يكون عنده اجار كفايه للناس عشان جو ده يكون ما في اجار مشاكل ده كله ده جو يازول بيشيل قبيله بتوع يمشي شاكل معناه لو لقى كرسي خلاص الباغناز باكل فوق لو شالوا برا بلد معناه حكومه كليه بالشغل يقول انا حكومه بتاع الجنوبيين ولازم نشغل الجنوبيين المشكله بتاع جنوب السودان ده مشكله بتاع سياسه بس ما في قبيله عنده مشكله مع قبيله كان لكن في هذا البليد الناس قال اعمل كده.
Sounds of the Week on iRadio, your eye on South Sudan. Live from Juba, on air and online.
This is iRadio News.
Hello, this is iRadio News. First, here are the headlines. The government of Sudan has announced plans to shut down operations and evacuate workers from the Hijlij oil fields after recent attacks by the paramilitary Rapid Support Forces. Civil society activist Edmund Yakani has strongly criticized some political and military leaders in South Sudan, accusing them of fueling violence and enjoying the suffering of ordinary citizens. And South Sudanese chiefs in Shendi say local authorities have assured them there will be no forced evacuation of their communities after a 3-day notice to leave Sudan was issued last week. These stories and more coming to you in this news bulletin with me, Baria Johnson, and now the news in detail. The government of Sudan has announced plans to shut down operations and evacuate workers from the Hijlij oil fields after recent attacks by the paramilitary Rapid Support Forces. Hijlij, a disputed border town between Sudan and South Sudan, where it is known as Pantau, serves as a key transit route for oil pumped from South Sudan. The oil is transported through a pipeline to Port Sudan on the Red Sea for export. In a statement published on August 30th by Sudan's state-owned news agency Sunna, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation said the government may be forced to suspend operations at the oil field and evacuate workers to protect their lives. The ministry said the attacks now go beyond harming Sudan's national interest and are also affecting the interest of the Republic of South Sudan and foreign companies that rely on the Hijlij area to export South Sudan's oil. In a separate letter dated August 30th, 2025, and signed by the Sudanese Petroleum Undersecretary Dr. Fadul Mahmoud, the ministry said it can no longer in good faith continue to manage operations at the site. Dr. Mahmoud said the attacks on August 26th and August 30th made operations difficult after the airport in Hijlij suffered damage to its terminal. He said it also hit a base camp, causing panic among staff working at the facility. As a result, Dr. Mahmoud said the ministry has reduced the meaning of the facilities to the minimum. The government of South Sudan has not yet commented on the development. Civil society activist Edmund Yakani has strongly criticized some political and military leaders in South Sudan, accusing them of fueling violence and enjoying the suffering of ordinary citizens. Yakani, the executive director of Community Empowerment for Progress organization, referred to the unnamed leaders as a gun class and said they should not use tribal differences to justify military confrontations. Although Yakani did not name any individual, he alleged that some leaders loot the country when they agree and allow citizens to suffer when they disagree. He called on South Sudan's leaders to use dialogue instead of violence to resolve political dispute. He spoke to iRadio on Monday morning.
We are seriously condemning the use of military confrontation for resolving political differences among the warring parties in South Sudan. How much politically you are discontented, you better use dialogue. What is happening now in some parts of Upper Nile State as we speak now in Tonja as a military confrontation between the SSPDF and the SPLA-IO, and following what has happened in some parts of Equatoria like Western Equatoria and Central Equatoria, this is disturbing, and this is telling us very clear that we have a class of our political leaders whom we can describe them as a gun class in the security and defense institution and in the political institution that admire to see the suffering of our citizens. When you disagree, you kill the common citizens. When you agree, you loot the common citizens. What type of leaders are you in our political and security and defense arena? We are so disturbed. We are really urging you that take a responsibility of using dialogue as our approach for resolving your political differences.
South Sudanese chiefs in Shendi say local authorities have assured them there will be no forced evacuation of their communities after a 3-day notice to leave Sudan was issued last week. Last week, 2 South Sudanese chiefs, John Okori and Federico Emilio, told iRadio that Sudanese immigration authorities in Shendi issued a 3-day ultimatum for all South Sudanese living in the town to return to South Sudan. Chief Okori also told iRadio that South Sudanese faced increasing pressure throughout 2024. He says this include detentions and localized ultimatums, such as a 15-day deadline issued in July 2024 for foreign nationals, including South Sudanese, to leave Khartoum. Speaking to iRadio this morning, Chief John Okori said Sudanese authorities promised that South Sudanese will not be expelled by force as earlier communicated. He says the authorities also promised to treat South Sudanese like other refugees and that they will have the right to either remain in Shendi or return voluntarily to South Sudan.
نحن الاجتماع لما طلعت بتوصيات كويسة إنه إن شاء الله من هنا لقدام ما هيكون في أي مضايقات بعد إذا في أي كلام تالي اللي يجينا من بطريقة رسمية، ونحن بننادي مسلاطين ونحن بنتكلم معاهم إنه ده كلام أجانا، والزول اللي بيجيكم من الطرف ما تسأل بو، لازم انت كمان تسأل إنه الزول جاي من وين وجابوا كلام من وين. نحن ما بنفيدكم إلا إذا جانا منظمات جاء عمل لكم بطاقات، وبطاقات دي تقدر تتمشبوه هنا في شندي لغاية ما فترة إنتوا تمشوا. وإذا بيزول أو في سلطان عنده كمية من الناس عندهم رغبة لعودة للجنوب، نحن مستعدين هنا بنراحلهم بطريقة أجمل وأفضل. نحن ما شيء إجباريا ولا شيء كسر الرغبة عشان نقول للناس أمرقوا ده ما بلدكم. اللغة ده نحن نصححه إنه ده لغة خطأ.
Following the order last week, Sudan's ambassador to South Sudan, Assam Karar, pledged to provide a full report on the status of South Sudanese nationals still living in Sudan amid the ongoing conflict. In a briefing, Karar admitted there was a directive for South Sudanese to return home, but said it was not a forced one. Sudan has been at war since 2023 with fighting between the Sudanese Armed Forces and the Paramilitary Rapid Support Forces, RSF. In January this year, dozens of South Sudanese nationals were allegedly killed in West Medani City, according to several videos shared on social media. A civil society leader has appealed to the national government to intervene and convince a spiritual leader, Makwaj Tud, who is reportedly mobilizing youth to attack parts of Upper Nile State. Termanyanga Twitch, the executive director of the Center for Peace and Advocacy, says he has received credible reports that Tud is moving towards Malakal with armed youth, allegedly planning to launch attacks. Gatwich is urging the government to initiate dialogue to stop Tut from proceeding with the plan. Tood, also known as Prophet Makwaj Tood, is an influential spiritual leader from Jonglei State. He was previously accused of leading an armed group of youth to attack parts of Upper Nile State in 2022. You are listening to iRadio Afternoon News. The governor of Upper Nile State has today launched the second County Commissioners Forum in Malakal, aimed at addressing security challenges and improving service delivery across the state. Peter Ngojo, the State Minister of Information, said the forum officially started this morning and was launched by Governor James Kong Chol. On Saturday, Governor Chol told iRadio that all county commissioners had arrived in Malakal to attend a 3-day event. According to the governor, the forum will focus on collecting detailed reports from all 13 counties, including updates on security and basic services. The discussion will also help the state prepare for the upcoming Governors Forum. Speaking to iRadio at the venue this morning, Minister Peter said the commissioners will discuss their work at the local government level and come up with resolutions to promote peace and harmony among communities.
Today, we kicked off the Commissioners Forum or 13 Count Commissioners Forum. This forum will last for 3 days. The Governor Lieutenant General James Kongso announced it officially recently. Then the aim of this forum is to help the commissioners doing their work at the level of local government and the community for them to live in peace and harmony. This is the main aim of this second National Commissioners Forum.
And finally, a civil society activist in Jonglei State says he is facing threats from the state government after speaking out about restrictions on freedom of expression. According to Boldeng Bol, the intimidation followed his recent criticism of new policies introduced by the state government. He claims a warning letter from the media team in the governor's office was issued urging him to stop further criticism of the government. Activist Boldeng spoke to iRadio this morning.
It was early last month in August when the government policies of formation of new administrative units in the counties within Jonglei, had sparked criticism and disagreements among its communities. There are some chiefs that were not, agreeing or had actually rejected this new administrative unit, the BOMA, across the state. So this, of course, I had an opinion. We had an opinion as a civil society, and in this opinion, we tried to question the policies of the government. What is the government actually working on, which is a good thing. So that also, of course, was criticized, and some government officials had a different opinion, and I was told to keep away from this. Today, this is because of this. These are the things that I know. That yesterday, because of this criticism, they then wrote a letter. Actually, was a post was written by a media team from the governor on behalf of the governor's press unit, and generally speaking for the government. This is according to that post, warning me seriously that this is the last warning. I should refrain from criticism and from criticizing the government of Jonglei. So I don't know what comes next. If now I'm warned and I don't stop criticizing, what they will do, we don't know.
Bol is now urging the state government to open civic space and allow freedom of expression.
I want to call on the governor of Jonglei State, in particular, to, in his administration, in his wisdom, to understand that civil society is constructive. Civil society is there for the good of the government, is there for the good of the governed. It is not against anybody. It is there to develop the principles of democracy that our country very much aspires to we are not enemies, and so I want to appeal to the governor to open civic space, allow freedom of expression, allow freedom of assembly, allow freedom of association, allow independent media to go about getting information and conveying information freely without fear of being threatened, without fear of being warned or intimidated in general.
Efforts to get an official response from the Minister of Information in Jonglei State were unsuccessful. When contacted, Minister Nyamarloni said she was in a meeting. You're listening to iRadio News, and now to the regional and international news with Helen Samuel.
Thanks, Baria. And in some of the stories making headlines across the globe, the people of Malawi are set to vote for their next leader following a turbulent 5 years involving economic turmoil, natural disasters, and the shock death of the nation's vice president. Current President Lazarus Chakwera is vying for a second term, his main rival being Peter Mutharika, an octogenarian who has also held office in the Southern African nation once before. Transparency and fairness are key talking points ahead of the vote, given what the result of Malawi's 2019 presidential election was overturned in the courts due to widespread irregularities. Elsewhere, Russian President Vladimir Putin says he reached understandings with U.S. President Donald Trump over the end of the Ukraine war at their meeting in Alaska last month, but he did not say whether he would agree to peace talks with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky brokered by Trump, who had apparently given Monday as a deadline for Putin's response. Speaking during a summit in China, Putin continued to defend his decision to invade Ukraine, once again blaming the war on the West. Finally, thousands of people have held protests across Mexico to highlight the country's many enforced disappearances and demand for more action by officials to tackle them. Relatives and friends of missing people, as well as human rights activists, marched through the streets of Mexico City and other cities calling for justice and urged the government of President Claudia Sheinbaum to help find their missing loved ones. More than 130,000 people have been reported as missing in Mexico. Almost all the disappearances have occurred since 2007, when then President Felipe Calderon launched his war on drugs. Those are some of the stories trending across the globe. Back to you, Baria Johnson.
Thank you, Helen Samuel. And now to the sports news with my colleague, Darlington Moses.
Thank you so much, Baria Johnson. To the world of sport, Qatar FC of South Sudan is set to kick off the Sikafa Kagame Cup 2025 campaign against Al Ahly SC Sindhi of Sudan on September 3rd at 1 p.m. East African time. The team is competing in Group C alongside Al Hilal and Mogadishu City Club. Qatar aims to make a strong impression right from the start. Support our team as they take on this challenge. Qatar FC head coach Nicola Peter Orat has declared that his side is not heading to Tanzania merely to present South Sudan at the 2025 Sikafa Kagame Cup, but to make a powerful statement. A brilliant Dominic Szoboszlai free kick 8 minutes from time saw Liverpool edged past Arsenal at Anfield to claim the 3 points. An event affair saw both teams defend resolutely throughout, and ultimately the Hungarian midfielder's excellent 30-yard strike saw the points go to the Merseysiders. Arsenal 9-month unbeaten league away run came to an end. Eberechi Eze made his debut as a second-half sub, but Arsenal couldn't find a way to get back level as their 6-game unbeaten run against the Reds ended. Barcelona's perfect start to the La Liga campaign ended on Sunday as they were forced to settle for 1-1 draw at Rayo Vallecano, despite a standout performance from goalkeeper John Garcia on a tense evening in Madrid. The Galatan champions looked set to claim all 3 points after Lamine Yamal converted a disputed first-half penalty. Novak Djokovic continued his bid for a record 25th Grand Slam title in style as he stormed past qualifier John Lennard, his draft to reach the U.S. Open quarterfinals. Despite twice receiving medical attentions, the Serb rarely looked troubled as he raced to a dominant 6-3, 6-3, 6-2 victory in under 2 hours. While the win was further evidence of the Djokovic's pedigree, questions still remain under the 38-year-old's physical conditions. This is all in the world of sport, and back to you, Baria Johnson.
Thank you, Darlington Moses. You're listening to iRadio News, and to end this bulletin, here's a recap of the main headlines. The government of Sudan has announced plans to shut down operations and evacuate workers from the Hijlich oil fields after recent attacks by the paramilitary Rapid Support Forces. Civil society activist Edmond Yakani has strongly criticized some political and military leaders in South Sudan, accusing them of fueling violence and enjoying the suffering of ordinary citizens. And South Sudanese chiefs in Shendi say local authorities have assured them there will be no forced evacuation of their communities after a 3-day notice to leave Sudan was issued last week. That's the end of iRadio Afternoon News. If there is a story or an event you would like iRadio to cover or report about, please send us a text message at +211 925 287870. It's also our WhatsApp number. Follow us on X at iRadio Juba, like our Facebook page iRadio, subscribe to our YouTube channel at iRadio South Sudan. You can also visit our website and listen to us online at www.iradio.org. Stay tuned for the news in Arabic at 1:30. I am Baria Johnson. Thanks for listening.